I'm Norm Wagner from More Living Magazine. Today we're going to the Wildwood Forest in Cedar. In 1938, a young logger and farmer named Merv Wilkinson bought the Wildwood property, beginning a lifelong exercise in sustainable forest management. It's an exercise that continues under the ownership of the Land Conservancy and the guidance of the Ecoforestry Institute. I spoke to Wildwood on-site manager Jay Rastogi about Merv Wilkinson's legacy and the past, present and future of Wildwood.
The initial idea when he first started managing the forest or first bought the property was to practice agriculture, and this land isn't very suitable for agriculture, and one of his teachers pointed that out to him and suggested that forestry would be a far better choice. The idea was to harvest an amount equivalent to the annual growth rate, and the assumption was that the stand volume wouldn't fluctuate much over time, and that there'd be forest forever and you'd have a uniform amount of wood coming out of the forest. The first thing that Merv realized was that you're only thinking about volume and not habitat, and it was the pileated woodpeckers really that led him to that. And so the first kind of ecological ideas to be incorporated was the idea of leaving habitat trees for woodpeckers. And then the next big jump in ecological thought, I think, happened in the late 80s, early 90s with when all the conflict was happening in BC around Clayoquot and Carmanah and so forth, and academics were visiting, and I think Chris Mazer and Nancy Turner and Duncan Taylor and Alan Gregson, these people were really key to helping him understand a bit more about the complexity of nature. And gradually Merv included more and more ecological criteria to the point where that became the prime goal of the stewardship, and the economics became secondary. But our intent now is to kind of continue Merv's legacy along that trajectory, to think of humans as part of the landscape, so we do want to interact with the forest. But do so in a way that maintains the diversity of the forest, the structural complexity, and a variety of volume. We now have permanent sample plots every 100 meters, and this is an attempt to try and get some hard data behind the management. Really, most of the management up till now has been by eye, and that has some advantages but also some disadvantages. And if we can include some scientific data gathering techniques and monitoring techniques, we're going to have a far stronger example, and we're going to have two different types of information to base decisions on. And I think one of the things we're finding from it is the stand structure has certainly changed a lot in the last 75 years, but also species composition has shifted. These are things that aren't necessarily apparent by eye, because if it takes 50 or 70 years for changes to show up, we get accustomed to that change and don't realize what's different and what's not. So I think the scientific data gathering is going to help both with the management and with us being able to take the story from here and apply it to other places. The real reason the Land Conservancy was interested in buying Wildwood was because of its influence or potential influence on society. And we get thousands of students, especially college and university students, come through. And then we also hold workshops for the general public on a variety of topics. Certainly ecoforestry, that's kind of the main topic we talk about, but also things like plant identification and mushroom identification and non-timber forest products, things like basketry, edible teas and edible plants in general, bird identification and reptiles and so forth, right? So there's a huge range of topics that we can devise workshops around, but they all act as an avenue to try and understand the forest better and try and understand the interrelatedness of things and how doing one thing affects the rest.
Thanks for visiting. Bookmark this website for more videos from More Living Magazine.